Yes, yes.
आपको मेरी
Should I
आवाज आ
start,
रही है?
Hemanti?
No,
थोड़ी थोड़ी कम है, थोड़ी नीचे है जस्टिस जी, लेकिन ठीक है।
मेरी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
हाँ सर, ठीक आ
um,
रही है, कोई तकलीफ नहीं।
All right, I'm leaving this meeting. And then go back
Hemanti,
on.
should I start or will you be addressing? You're on mute, Hemanti. Hemanti, you're on mute.
yes, I'm starting the Facebook Live. Then we will start the program. Just give me a moment. Yes, we can start now. So, Namaskar. Om Anandamai Matastvang Brahmani Vaishnavi Shiva Rik Jajur Sam Gayatri Twang Hi Veda Prakashika Shiva Shaktir Mahamaya Jagadamba Trutapaha Nirmaloma Bhabanitwang Maturarghang Gritami. Welcome everyone to this first day of the event, Awaken with Eternal Motherhood. From the organization Self Wellness Awareness, rather, I love to say SWA. Mother is a word that evokes feelings of affection, love, and compassion. The root or essence of creation is Mother, Ma, or Shakti. India embodies spirituality. This country has been graced several times with the tangible incarnations of the Supreme Shakti or cosmic presence of the Universal Mother. That eternal Shakti emerged over and over to guide us towards a new way of life and compassionately led us to eternal enlightenment. May we try to seek refuge at their feet. Let us unite today and experience the divine moment by discovering more about eternal motherhood and be enriched and enlightened by the wisdom of our eminent. Without further delay, I like to move on to introduce our Master of Ceremonies, Dr. Jayashish Bandyopadhyay. Dr. Jayashish is an initiated disciple of the Ramakrishna Mission. He had the opportunity to pay obeisance to Sri Sri Ma Anandamayi as a child on a few occasions in Ranchi and Dhanbad. He has been living in England for the last 20 years and is working as a consultant ophthalmic surgeon at the James Cook University Hospital, Middlesbrough. I will request Dr. Jayashish to take over the program.
Thank you, Hemanti, and thank you, Ronita. And on the behalf, I welcome you all on the behalf of SWSWA or the Self Wellness Awareness. Hemanti and her team, especially Ronita, have made a huge effort to make this program a huge success. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. We have got a huge number of distinguished speakers, and we are very fortunate to have Justice Karunanand Bajpayee as our first speaker today, who has served as a High Court judge in Allahabad. Dispute Redressal Commission in New Delhi. Justice Karunanand Bajpayee is the son of Sri Bajpayee.
Dr. Jashish, you are muted. Can you please unmute yourself? I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
No, no, it's
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of SWA, the Self Wellness Awareness, and a huge thank you to Hoymanti and the team, especially Ronita, for making this a huge success. We have a lot of distinguished speakers, and we have first speaker today is Justice Karunanand Bajpai, who has served as a High Court judge in Allahabad and is currently posted as a member of the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission in New Delhi. Justice Karunanand Bajpai is the son of Sri Hari Yogendra Prasad Bajpai, Lakshmi Devi Bajpai. His name was given by Sri Sri Ma Anandamayi, and he comes from a renowned and reputed family, commonly known in Ma Anandamayi's Ashram as Bajpai Parivar. Bajpai family came in touch with sister home for about 6-7 times in Etawah, probably one of the very few Grihastha ashram has entered. He has been one of the fortunate devotees of Sri Sri Ma, who has received Diksha from Swami Nirvananandaji. Justice Bajpai is here amongst us, representing the whole of the Bajpai Parivar, who has been living and flourishing under the divine protection of Ma Anandamayi for 5 generations now, and has been basking under her glory and praise. We are so honored to have you grace this platform, sir. Thank you, sir. You can start now. Thank you.
Am I supposed to speak now?
yes, please, Jaima.
Dema. This voice is breaking intermittently. As you had made it known to me that probably I have to speak in Hindi also and intermittently in English. So I don't know if it is exclusively Hindi. All right, whatever it be. Am I audible? Well?
Yes,
I
yes.
see. Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranat Klesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namah. He Krishna Sindhu Deen Bandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Jai Guru Maharaj. Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma. माँ के विषय में कुछ बोलना, कुछ व्यक्त करना, कुछ विचार विमर्श करना, उनके स्पिरिचुअल स्टेटस का असेसमेंट करना, उनकी स्थिति का आंकलन करना, ये सब इट्स ऑल ए काइंड ऑफ पैराडॉक्स, मिक्स्ड पैराडॉक्स, क्योंकि जो बुद्धि से परे है उसका निरूपण कैसे किया जाए, जिसको मन से छुआ नहीं जा सकता उसका वर्णन कैसे किया जाए, जो वाणी से परे है उसके विषय में अभिव्यक्ति कैसे दी जाए। लेकिन फिर भी युग युगांतर से ब्रह्म के स्वरूप का निरूपण भी करते आए हैं, उसके विचार में विचार विमर्श भी करते आए हैं, उसके विषय में समझने, सोचने और उसका आकलन भी करते आए हैं। और ये शायद इसलिए है क्योंकि भगवान जब अवतार लेते हैं तो उनके अवतार के जो बहुत से उद्देश्य बताए गए हैं, जिसमें धर्म की स्थापना, अधर्म का नाश, ब्राह्मणों की रक्षा, गौ माँ की रक्षा, उसके अलावा एक उद्देश्य ये भी भगवान का वर्णित है कि जब हम अवतार लेंगे और फिर लीला भिन्न भिन्न प्रकार से करेंगे तो फिर हमारे भक्त लोग हमारी उस लीला का गायन करके, उसका स्मरण करके, उसका वर्णन करके फिर इस भवसागर से पार जाया करेंगे। तो माँ के स्वरूप का आकलन करने में सक्षम तो हम में से संभवतः कोई नहीं है, लेकिन माँ की लीलाओं का प्रसंग, उनका स्मरण, उनका वर्णन, किसी न किसी बहाने से उनका नाम लेना, उनके विषय में चर्चा करना, उनका सत्संग करना, ये भी हमारे कल्याण का हेतु है। इसके माध्यम से भी संभवतः क्रमशः हम धीरे धीरे माँ की ओर बढ़ते रहेंगे, उनका कृपा लाभ प्राप्त करते रहेंगे। और उस दृष्टि से ये जो आयोजन किया गया है हेमंती जी ने, शी डिजर्व्स immense applause from everybody and anybody who is at all a seeker and is a traveler towards in the journey to reach Ma's lotus feet. Because she has given this grand occasion to spend some time talking of Ma, talking about Ma, however inadequately it may be, however insufficient it may be, however nebulous and nascent it may be. But still we are talking about Ma, because that is probably the only thing and the only basis how we can proceed towards her. क्योंकि माँ के स्वरूप का वर्णन, माँ का जो आद्या शक्ति स्वरूप है, दरअसल भगवान की एक विशेषता ये भी है कि उन्हें किसी संबंध से इनकार नहीं। मनु ने हजारों वर्ष तपस्या की और निराकार ब्रह्म को प्रकट किया। हजारों वर्ष तपस्या के बाद भगवान प्रकट हुए और उन्होंने उनसे जब वरदान मांगने के लिए कहा तो उन्होंने कहा कि तुम हमारे पुत्र के रूप में हमारे यहाँ पैदा हो। तो दशरथ जी के पुत्र बनकर भगवान राम उनके आंगन में खेले, उनकी गोद में बैठे और उनके साथ लीलाएं की। किसी को सखा के रूप में स्वीकार है, किसी को पति के रूप में स्वीकार है। कुछ लोग जिनको भगवान का मातृ स्वरूप सबसे अच्छा लगता है, वो भगवान को मातृ स्वरूप में प्राप्त करने का प्रयास करते हैं। लेकिन भगवान सिर्फ माँ नहीं है, भगवान सिर्फ पिता नहीं है, भगवान सिर्फ पुत्र नहीं है, भगवान सब कुछ है। इसलिए माँ वो आद्या शक्ति है जो आद्या शक्ति ऐसे स्वरूप में है जो स्वयं शिव भी है, राम भी है, कृष्ण भी है, क्रोध भी है, क्रोध का शमन भी है, शांति भी है, रोग भी है, रोग का निवारण भी है, ज्ञान भी है, अज्ञान भी है, तृष्णा भी है, विद्या भी है, हम भी है, ज्ञान भी है, अज्ञान भी है। ऐसे स्वरूप में जो माँ का आद्या शक्ति स्वरूप है, उस स्वरूप में माँ को हम माँ कहते हैं। अगर हम माँ को परब्रह्म की एक भिन्न सत्ता के रूप में, एक सेपरेट एंटिटी के रूप में माने, तो संभवतः वी शैल बी लिमिटिंग द स्वरूप ऑफ माँ। क्योंकि माँ, भगवान और भगवान की शक्ति ये दो अलग नहीं है। भगवान और भगवान की शक्ति, they are so inextricably intertwined with each other that we cannot conjure up them as a separate entity. हाँ, ये बात जरूर है कि जब जिन लोगों को माँ का मातृ स्वरूप बहुत अधिक आकर्षक लगता है, उसके लिए माँ मातृ स्वरूप में प्रकट होती है। लेकिन जिन लोगों ने माँ को कृष्ण रूप में दर्शन किया, उनका क्या? जिन्होंने शिव रूप में दर्शन किया, उनका क्या? जिन्होंने राम के रूप में दर्शन किया, उनका क्या? जिन्होंने पूर्ण ब्रह्म के रूप में दर्शन किया, माँ की अपनी श्रीवाणी के अनुसार वो नारायण भी हैं, नारायणी भी हैं, महादेव भी हैं, महादेवी भी हैं। तो आद्या शक्ति माँ का जो स्वरूप है, वो दरअसल माँ का वो बृहत स्वरूप है जिसमें बाकी सारे स्वरूप निहित हैं। उनसे अलग या उनसे सेपरेट माँ का वो आद्या शक्ति स्वरूप नहीं है, उसमें ही सारे अन्य स्वरूप समाहित हैं। It is that entirety, that totality, that wholesome power which is inclusive of everything which exists anywhere and everywhere. That is Matra Adya Shakti Swarup. महामहोपाध्याय गोपीनाथ कविराज द्वारा एक बात कही गई थी जो बहुत कोट की जाती है, जिसमें उन्होंने ये कहा था कि माँ का वास्तविक परिचय जानने का प्रयास असंभव जैसा है। It is almost impossible to know what exactly she is, who she is, what is her swarup. These deep and the deepest of the subjects are, we are simply incapable. We are simply those nascent children for whom it is absolutely impossible. Because when we were not born, Ma was still in existence. When we shall not exist anymore, माँ shall still continue to exist. माँ शुद्ध सनातनी है, सभी देवताओं और सभी जीवों का प्राण स्वरूप जो आद्या शक्ति है, उसे कौन समझ सकता है? माँ का स्वरूप भावातीत है, it transcends all the भाव. महाभाव रूपणी माँ अनंत प्रकार से अनंत भावों का समन्वय और उसका ओरिजिन और जेनेसिस होते हुए भी she is beyond all the भाव, even though she includes all the भाव. माँ के इस तुर्यातीत स्वरूप को ग्रहण करने में भला कौन समर्थ हो सकता है? जो उन्हें देखता है, जो उन्हें समझता है, उसके निकट उसी भाव से वो प्रतिभासित हो जाती है. माँ को मनुष्य कहने से उन्हें छोटा नहीं किया जा सकता और अवतार और नित्य सिद्ध कहकर स्तुति करने से भी उनकी उच्चता व्यक्त नहीं होती. उनके लिए छोटा या बड़ा, स्तुति या निंदा दोनों ही समान है. माँ को समझने के लिए माँ में आत्म समर्पण कर उनमें एकाग्रता लाभ करना आवश्यक है. माँ से अलग होकर माँ को समझना संभव नहीं. These are the expressions given by Mahamahopadhyay Gopinath Kaviraj. Because if there have been people who had the most intimate moments, the proximity with Ma, and had the occasion to know something about her, this is one of the greatest erudite scholars, Mahamahopadhyay Gopinath, who himself expressed her complete inability and ultimately gave the expression that we just have to surrender ourselves. We just have to merge ourselves, our own and our whole entity into Ma. That is perhaps the only way to know her and to understand whatever she is. अब हम लोग फिर भी इस विषय में जो कुछ भी कह रहे हैं, the list of the speakers that I have come to know here includes some of the greatest saints who have invested their whole life in intense sadhana. Some of the erudite speakers who are high intellectual scholars and have spent their lives in studying various scriptures, various philosophies, and perhaps I'm the most awkward and awkwardly pressed. I'm just like a mortal who has been given to all kind of vices in this world. I have lived a worldly life. लोभ, क्रोध, मात्सर्य, आलस्य, ऐसा कोई अवगुण नहीं जो मुझ में ना हो. तो मेरे ऊपर जो ये अनुग्रह किया है आप सब लोगों ने, जो मुझे आप सबके बीच में आने का मौका दिया, अपनी कुछ बात कहने का मौका दिया, that I shall remain eternally grateful. और शायद ये भी माँ की कृपा का ही एक एस्पेक्ट है कि हम जैसे अकिंचन को भी आप जैसे विद्वानों के बीच में, आप जैसे श्रेष्ठ लोगों के बीच में बैठने और उठने का मौका मिलता है. ये भी माँ की अद्वितीय की कृपा और माँ के स्वरूप का एक छोटा सा हिस्सा है कि वो जब कृपा करती हैं तो फिर पात्रता नहीं देखती. कृपा उनकी अहेतु की होती है. ये उनकी मौज है किसके ऊपर कृपा करें, और उनकी ये मौज, उनकी अहेतु की कृपा, उनका ख्याल ही है कि हमारे जैसे साधारण लोग भी आप जैसे विद्वानों के बीच में, आप जैसे साधु संतों के बीच में हैं, उनसे बात करते हैं, उनका आशीर्वाद प्राप्त करते हैं. यही हमारा सौभाग्य है. माँ के स्वरूप के विषय में हम निरंतर प्रयास करते रहें, ये बात तो सच है, लेकिन इस प्रयास में सफलता भला किसको मिलेगी? क्योंकि माँ की साधना, माँ का स्वरूप क्या कोई कहेगा. ध्यान का उच्चतम स्वरूप समाधि है. और किसी महर्षि दयानंद ने जो बनारस में माँ से मिले थे और उन्होंने जब माँ की समाधि के स्वरूप के विषय में पूछा कि ये निर्विकल्प समाधि है या सविकल्प समाधि, तो माँ ने प्रकट किया कि जब समाधि जिसको तुम लोग कहते हो और जो समाधि के भाव में शरीर जाता है, तो ये जो बाह्य परिवर्तन शरीर में होते हैं, इसके बीच में हमारे जो अंतर का भाव है उसमें कोई परिवर्तित नहीं होता, उसमें कोई परिवर्तन नहीं होता. All the changes which you see during the course of this samadhi are visible by you and not by me. I remain the same what I am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible. Just one small request, Vajpayee. Can you please continue the rest of the speech in English? Chandravali can't actually understand Hindi, so she requested to please speak in English instead of Hindi.
I see. I was just saying that
Thank you.
after how difficult and how impossible it is to assess and to talk about Ma's spiritual status. Because the highest kind of spiritual attainment is called samadhi. And when Ma was in samadhi, and one Saint Dayanand ji met her in Kashi long back, when even the Kashi ashram was not in existence, he asked him, what is the nature of the samadhi? Is it savikalp or it is nirvikalp? The answer of Ma was that while the body undergoes all these changes and enters into trance, the internal bhav of mind remain the same. I am just what I am before samadhi, during the samadhi, and after it is over. Do you really call it samadhi, Baba? Now, the person for whom even the samadhi is just a play, is just a transitional, ephemeral phase of sadhana, who can really assess that lofty, that colossal, that almighty existence? People call and attain the highest spiritual stature by entering into sadhana. But who can really comment upon the stature, that spiritual stature of that mighty entity whom we call Ma, who just had a khayal to do sadhana, and then all the possible modes of sadhana manifested in the body. If the deity was to be worshipped, it emerged out of the body itself. If the flowers were needed, they emerged out of the body itself. If Havan was to be performed, the entire tools and the trappings and the equipment emerged from the body itself. Even the deity itself emerged from the body. And then the worship was performed, and it all again submerged back into the body. Can we really call it sadhana? It was just a play. Now here we are talking about that mighty entity for whom even the highest spiritual attainments manifested just because she wanted them to manifest in the body. It is that mighty entity whom we know as Ma that we have assembled here to talk about and to discuss. In fact, हम माँ के विषय में कुछ बात करें, perhaps, of course, because Ma itself used to say, wherever you are, you have to move from that ground. If you fall down on the earth, you have to emerge taking the support of the same earth and move from wherever you are placed. Naturally, we are placed in our own modest positions. What else can we do than make our childish, puerile attempts to understand what she is? But actually, what remains for us is perhaps nothing except to place our head on her lotus feet, place our head in her lotus lap, and say nothing except Ma, 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 Ma. And perhaps nothing more shall be needed any further beyond that. And she herself shall take care of us. We don't have to bother for ourselves. It is she who is there, and it is her botheration to look after us, which she shall do. This is our faith. Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
Thank you, Justice Ji, for your, Justice Bajpayee Ji, for your absolutely excellent speech regarding Mother. It's very difficult to summarize. And thank you for your highlights. We are so grateful for sharing your thoughts with us. We are not entirely certain if Pravrajika Divya Prananandaji has joined already, because some of the videos have been muted. She's one of the next speakers. If she has, then we can, we'll progress to the next speaker. Otherwise, probably we will be going ahead with Govindji. I'm certain if Pravrajika Divya Pranandaji has joined. Mataji, have you joined? I'm not certain, Mataji. I think what we should do is we'll progress to our next speaker today. We will go. we're welcoming Govindji, who is, please welcome Govindji from New Jersey. He is
Just a
president
second,
of Sri Aurobindo Yoga.
Jashish, just a second. I'm just talking to Mataji. I'm sorry, Govindji. I'm talking
No
to
problem.
Mataji. Can we wait 1 or 2 minutes just after I
Okay,
talk
that's
to
fine.
Mataji? I can, yeah.
Okay, is she around?
Yeah, that would actually be better because
Sorry,
I'm kind of like a junior compared to Mataji, so she should go before me. Thank you. Thank you.
We're tied up with the time, that's why. Sorry, Govindji.
No problem.
That's such
So
a
I think we're
beautiful
still waiting.
picture you have in the background, Govind.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, come and
Yeah, I just talked to Mataji. So we are really blessed that she's joining right now. So we can continue our schedule how it is. You can ask Deepa to start now. Thank you.
Okay. Deepa Bhattacharya, she's a humble devotee. Sorry, I'm muted again. No, Deepa is a humble devotee in service to Thakur, Mother Sri Sharada Devi and Swamiji. She volunteers for the Vedanta Society of Toronto, and she will be rendering a Sharada Matri. Thank you, Deepa. If you can please join now.
Sure. Namaskar to all. Can you hear me?
Yes, Deepa, you're audible. Thank you.
Okay, so let me start with Mother's Dhyan Mantra. This is often sung in Ramakrishna Mission and mutts for mothers. This is called Mother's Meditation Mantra, Dhyana Mantra. ध्याये चित्तसरोजस्थां सुखासीना कृपामयी प्रसन्नवदना देवी द्विभुजां स्थिरलोचना आलुलायितकेशार्ध वक्षस्थलविमण्डिताम् श्वेतवस्त्रावृतार्थाङ्गाम् हेमालङ्कार भूषिताम् स्वक्रोडन्यस्तहस्ताञ्च ज्ञानभक्तिप्रदायिनीम् शुभ्रा ज्योतिर्मयी जीवताप सन्तापहारिणी रामकृष्णगतप्राणा तन्नाम श्रवणप्रिया तद्भावरञ्जिता कारा जगन्मात्री स्वरूपिणी जानकी राधिकारूप धारिणी सर्वमङ्गला जानकी राधिकारूप धारिणी सर्वमङ्गला चिन्मयी वरदा नित्या शारदा मोक्षदा चिन्मयीं वरदा नित्या शारदा मोक्षदायिनी. Namaskar Mataji. So nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepa Bhattacharya. Thank you so much for your beautiful rendition. We please welcome Pravrajika Divya Prananandaji. We are extremely blessed to have Pravrajika Divya Prananandaji as one of the speakers in this conference. She needs no introduction, and many of us have benefited hugely from her talks on YouTube. She is a monastic member of Sri Sharada Mutt and currently editor of the English journal Samvit, published from New Delhi. She has been principal of Nivedita Vidya Mandir from 2014 to 2019, a gold medalist and top. Rajika Dibba Prananda Mataji has a unique combination of knowledge in the conventional sciences and traditional yogic Vedantic texts. She specializes in the areas of Yoga Vedanta. In addition to studying the Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature, she has extensively studied the Yoga Vedanta texts based on these twin philosophies, which include the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Raja Yoga, Upanishads, and the Prakarana Granthas, along with the commentaries. Her additional areas of interest include the Brahma Sutras with Sankara's commentary, works of Ramana Maharshi, and the Bhagavad Gita. She has been lecturing all over India and abroad since 2010, including almost all the IITs, Indian Institute of Science, Ramakrishna Mission Engineering and Medical Colleges in Mumbai, Pune, and Kolkata, and sometimes in schools. She has traveled all over the world, including the Great Britain, UAE, Canada, USA, and for various talks, lectures, and scripture discussions. I will highly recommend you to listen to the YouTube channel Vivekavani, which has a huge resource of her talks covering a wide number of subjects. Please welcome Mataji. We are so blessed to have you. Thank you so much.
Namaste. Am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. How long will I have to speak?
We are
Yes.
expecting for 30 minutes for you.
30 minutes.
Whatever is comfortable for you.
Okay.
Jai Ma.
Namaste to everyone. And do I begin now?
Yes, please.
Okay. My regards to all of you. Namaskars to everyone present here. And I'm very happy that you are organizing something on mother worship, on the divine Shakti. So when Haimanti ji actually sent me the program and what exactly this is about, I was very delighted because, you know, this is the yug, this is the time where mother worship and the power behind mother, the mother ideal, this requires to come to the forefront of our social life, of our national life, of the globe. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna's coming was for this, isn't it? See, he was the first avatar who accepted a woman as his guru, whose Ishtadevi was Mother Kali, and he worshipped his own wife as the divine mother of the universe. And he surrendered the fruit of his entire sadhana at the feet of Sri Sharda Devi. These are all not ordinary events. They suggest something very tremendous. Sri Ramakrishna Swamiji used to say, Sri Ramakrishna has awakened the cosmic Kundalini. Now, they only know what they mean by this. But through this medium, many people will get enlightened. And that's why mother worship, the mother ideal, is central to this manifestation this time. Is central to Sri Ramakrishna's life and his message. So it is very good you have chosen a topic like this, where you are covering the women saints, the enlightened masters among women, and the entire seminar is on this. So if you take up the life of Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi, I'm sure many of you have read something of her life. Otherwise, you wouldn't be choosing a topic like this. You will see something very remarkable about this life. It is very silent, very quiet. Mother was very shy by nature. And you do not see too much of activity in her in her demeanor. She was very quiet and silent, but she showed the manifestation of the highest divine power in her life. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Tini ki jeshe, tini amar shakti. Is she of the ordinary kind? She is my Shakti, he would say. She is the power behind me. She is the power behind the avatar's manifestation. And yet, how did she present herself to us? As a very ordinary woman, very shy and unwilling to come to the forefront, always loving and serving, standing in the background. This is how you find mother. Now, if you look closely at your own mothers at home, just think of them, all of you, just for a few moments, look at the life of your own mother at home, and you will find a ready resemblance with Mother Sharda's life. Mother always puts the children in front, isn't it? Mother always puts everything that she considers to be hers in front, and she remains at the back. So in Mother Sharda's life, you find this enormously. You find this coming out so beautifully. For her, the priority was always love and service, pure love, the love of a mother. She was the universal mother, not just mother of one person or two people. You know, mothers become mothers to one or two children. And there the motherhood stops. But Ma Sharda showed the same bhav towards everybody who came to her. So this is no ordinary thing. See, without spiritual growth and unfoldment, without spiritual realization, in fact, this is impossible. And in Mother Sharda's life, you find this so beautifully manifested. Whoever came to her, whether man, woman, child, young, old, well-established, or absolutely poor, whoever came to her, she was the same mother to them all. The compassionate mother, the kind mother, the mother whose only thought was, how do I feed them? How do I cater to their well-being? And she expressed this ideal from a very young age. Can you imagine? In Mother Sharda's life, you see, when she was 16, 18, that tender age, she is able to look upon everyone as her child. Look at the immensity of and purity of her bhav. This is what makes Holy Mother such a glorious ideal for this age. Even at that age, she is able to look upon everybody as her child. And what was her attitude towards her own husband? Once Sri Ramakrishna asked her, you may remember that incident when she first came to Dakshineshwar. Sri Ramakrishna asks her, have you come to bring me down into this world? And the answer of this young maiden, you see, that time she was a very young wife, just 18-year-old. First time she has come to Dakshineshwar, first time she has come into her husband's room, and there she says, no, I have not come to drag your mind into this world. I have come to help you in your chosen path and to serve you. See, look at the answer. I have come to help you, she says, in your chosen path. See, no ordinary person can say this, isn't it? The level of their minds, the extent of their bhav was so high, so elevated, that, you know, that is when the avatar is able to put his entire force into motion. The purpose why he comes on this earth, it is fulfilled by his Shakti. And this you will find in Mother Sharda's life. She actually was not just the power behind the Sri Ramakrishna manifestation, but the mother of every disciple of the master. And she continues to be the mother of our entire Sangha. We know very well mother listens first, isn't it, to the child, and the child wants the mother first. So that is why the ideal of motherhood through this form, this is so very appealing all over the world, isn't it? It holds an instant appeal for us. Mother herself used to say this. Sri Sharda Devi herself used to say that Sri Ramakrishna had the attitude of a mother towards all creation. He left me to give a practical demonstration of that ideal to the whole world. So she became the mother of all. And this bhav, the way she has manifested in her life, right from that young age till she passed on, the way she has manifested this bhav, this is the remarkable story of one of the greatest women saints of India. And she continues to be an inspiration to, so many young people. Even when I come to your country, when I'm in the US, so sometimes I feel people want Vedant. But then by the time I finish my talks and return, I'm convinced all they want is mother. Everybody is actually wanting only mother. And because that's the most approachable relationship, isn't it? That is the most loving, tender, pure relationship. To mother, you can open your heart. So this is what I found. Everywhere they had wanted me to talk on mother, they had wanted us to discuss on mother, and the Matra Bhav. This is something everyone wants in their life. In fact, we can't do without it because mother harmonizes everything. On mother's lap, we find the greatest peace and solace and happiness. We know very well what a mother means, isn't it? Sister Nivedita has very beautifully described motherhood as the greatest ideal. And Vivekananda used to say motherhood is the greatest ideal of womanhood, all womanhood. So you find this very tender, beautiful bhav in mother in so many ways. See, I can tell you so many incidents. Since you have given me half an hour, let me tell you this beautiful incident which happened in Dakshineshwar. Mother used to carry Sri Ramakrishna's food. She would prepare his food, and then she would carry it on a plate into his room. Now, Sri Ramakrishna, he was very particular about everything because he used to be in such elevated states of consciousness that he could not bear the slightest impurity or impure touch coming near him. So he was very particular that his food also should be brought by mother. One day it so happened that another lady came there and told mother, today can I carry master's food to him? And mother at once said, yes, my child, because the lady addressed her as mother. Now that lady brought the food to Sri Ramakrishna and placed it before him. And then suddenly he looked very serious. So she must have left, keeping the plate. And then when mother came to the room after some time, Sri Ramakrishna tells her, why did you send the food through her? Don't you know? Today she is a good lady, but she was not a lady of very good character. Why did you send it to her? How do I eat this food today? And then mother pacified him. Mother folded her hands and said, my lord, next time I will only bring your food. But if somebody calls me mother, then I cannot refuse that person. See, this is what we should note. If somebody calls me mother, I cannot refuse that person, she says. And not just that, this much. Then she said, you must remember, my lord, you are not my lord alone. You belong to everybody. Holy Mother is telling Sri Ramakrishna that you belong to everybody. And if somebody calls me mother, I cannot refuse that person. So you see the beautiful bhav embodied in this incident. This was the dominant sentiment in mother's mind. She is the mother of all. And that is why right from that age, this is coming out in so many beautiful ways. You must have read that incident of the pan. There is so much you can learn from that one incident. There is so much packed in that one incident for us to understand. See, mother used to make beetle rolls. They are very common in Bengal. Those of you who have visited Dakshineshwar, you will be knowing that there people roll these beetle leaves and with some ingredients and then consume them after food. It helps in digestion and all that. So mother also used to make these beetle rolls when she was in Dakshineshwar garden house. And she would offer them to the master. She would also make a lot of rolls and offer them to devotees. So one day there was this yogin ma who was mother's companion. She was watching mother making those rolls. Mother was so young at that time, in just 20 or in her early 20s. And mother was making those rolls. And Yogin Ma noticed that she was putting some extra ingredients into some of the rolls. Some of the rolls were just ordinary, the way they are made, and some others had this extra ingredients like elaichi and all that being put into them. So then Yogin Ma saw this and she said, "Mother, for whom are you making these special rolls?" Mother said, and now you look at Mother's answer. She said, "Well, there are so many new devotees coming to Dakshineshwar. These special rolls are meant for them because, I have to make them my own. They are my new children coming. So, Jatna Kore, which means with some extra care, I have to make them my own. That is why I'm making these special rolls for them. And these ordinary rolls are for Sri Ramakrishna because he is already my own." Look at this very beautiful sentiment of Mother. Why did she feel whoever came to Dakshineshwar, whoever comes to the master, I have to make that person my own? See, this is the universal Mother Bhav. She felt responsible for everyone. She felt she had to do something for everyone. Even in her old age in Jairambati, when so many people would come to her, she would cater to their everyday needs little by little, step by step, without any complaint, without any grumbling, without feeling, oh, why didn't they bring this? Why didn't they bring that? Mother used to do this because she really felt in her heart of hearts that she was the mother of all beings. You see, really, there is no tulana, there is no comparison of mother's bhav to anything on this earth. That is why she is a little difficult to understand. She comes to us in very ordinary garb. But this bhav, it is rarest of the rare, isn't it? Where will you find this on earth? That is why she expresses best the universal ideal of motherhood. And this is a great lesson to our modern age. This age where we think so much of our private spaces, our private time, and we think so much of ourselves. The kacha ami, the undeveloped ego is always at the forefront. And if you look at Mother's life, somewhere she had completely erased the kacha ami, the unripe ego, and the universal motherhood had taken full form, full-fledged manifestation in her. And that is why just reading her life, you will be able to catch the spirit of this great saint of this modern age, and so very relevant to this particular age. That is the beauty of Mother's life. See, maybe the avatars, they know very well how the cosmic trend will be, how our minds will function in this age, how very selfish and narrow we would become. Although we talk of a global village, today we are living in a global village, but only in terms of information, not in terms of service. But Mother's life showed how to make each person her own, one's own. And that is only possible through the spirit of love and service and absolute purity of love, purity of sentiment, purity of heart. This is what characterizes Mother's life. Look at her last message, and you will see again her inner bhav comes out so beautifully. Her last message was to one lady, Annapurna's mother, and Mother tells her, she was standing at the doorstep, and Mother suddenly looked at her and said, "My child, if you want peace of mind, do not find faults with others." See, simple formula it is. If you want peace of mind, do not find faults with others. Rather, look at your own faults. No one is a stranger, my child. The world is yours. See, what a beautiful, each one of this is such an important sentence. The world is your own. If you find fault with what is your own, it is like finding fault with yourself, and you will hence lose peace of mind. Learn to make the whole world your own. Nobody is a stranger, my child. The world is yours. So these are all immortal teachings of Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi. What exactly do they tell us? That you develop your heart. We have developed our brain very well through education. We have also developed our hands to survive, yes. but have we developed our heart? Look at all the kinds of influences falling on you, and you will understand how much of real inner culture we have developed. Until you develop and refine your heart, we will not have a really graceful human civilization. We will have all the ugliness that you see in today's media, isn't it? That is why the culture of the heart, the developing of the emotional intelligence, and the culturing of what is called this Matra Bhav, the ability to accept everyone in the purest sense as a mother. This is the saving bhav, you can say, the actual saving emotion, which alone can bring harmony and inclusiveness into this world. So much of division everywhere based on, well, you know very well what it is based on. It is based on totally unrelated, unripe egos. And it is only possible to bring harmony in such a situation if this mother bhav, matra bhav is cultivated. And it does not matter whether we are wearing the body of a man or a woman. The matra bhav is common to all. Each and everyone, we have it in a nascent way in ourselves. To bring it, to culture it, to refine it, to bring it into manifestation in everyday life. This is mother's message to all of us. Because without this matra bhav, mother attitude, the world cannot survive. You can see wherever you find divisiveness and narrowness, it is the lack of acceptability that is at the core cause of all this. So in this matra bhav, you will see there is ready acceptance of each and everyone as that person is. This is the beauty of a mother, you know, she will accept the son as he is. Nobody will accept a person as he is. They always want to only accept him as they want him to be. Or they want to accept her as they want her to be. Only the mother will accept the son or the daughter as he or she is. And without any hesitation, because it is an integral part of herself. Nobody can deny himself or herself, isn't it? So also the mother cannot deny the child. So also in this matra bhav, that is why there is complete harmony. There is complete inclusiveness and acceptance. And this is the actual bhav which will bring us out of our littleness in today's world. The culturing of this bhav, this is the highest emotional intelligence possible. Please understand this. Today in our educational system, this component is entirely lacking. But even a person like Sister Nivedita insisted that this loftiness of vision and greatness of human character only comes with the culturing of great emotions in the human mind. Towards this, we have not paid much attention, but this will require very urgent attention in years to come, because this is the only thing that holds the human race together, the ability to have the mother vision towards each and every one. And this should be considered the highest development of human potential, human energy, and the human race. This is the culmination of human evolution. You know very well from psychosocial evolution, the human race proceeds to spiritual evolution. It is not about survival of the fittest, that is the end of our civilization. It is about growing into great spirituality, growing into this great wide broadness of acceptance and inclusiveness. This is the culmination of human evolution. And that is why this Matra Bhav is the universal solution to our self-created problems. If this can be cultivated a little in our own lives by taking inspiration from the life of Holy Mother, then I think we can make our own lives blessed. Holy Mother came for that. Please remember, these great people have come and shown their lives only so that we are able to imbibe something of their bhav and translate it into our lives. Otherwise, you know, everything would become just sort of theory, nothing in practice. It is only when we see these lives that we understand, no, these ideas can be completely practiced. So let us remember, just recapitulate a few points and I will conclude. Mother's life demonstrates one can live perfectly without an ego. One can live a life of utter purity and service by the cultivation of this Matru Bhav. And inclusiveness and harmony are not, utopian ideals. They are perfectly possible if this bhav is cultivated within ourselves. And this is the culmination of human evolution. Understanding this much and putting it into practice, we will be able to truly worship Holy Mother Sri Sharda Devi. With this message and this understanding, I would like to conclude this talk. If you want an interaction, since I have concluded 5 minutes early, you are most welcome. I will be here for another 5 minutes. Namaste and thank you.
If you have any questions, any of you, you can ask to Mataji. She will be here for more 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for your wonderful.
Thank you.
Mataji, Shorab is asking, is there any link? Sorry, I'm just missing the chat.
Yeah, I'm continuing, but the
Is there any
Bhatai,
link between
Bhatai.
Sharadama and Bhairavi Ma?
Yes, yes.
So the question is there any link between Mother Sharda and Bhairavi Brahmani? Isn't it? That's the question. See, Bhairavi Brahmani was the tantric guru of Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna used to look upon her as mother. So naturally, she was close and in a way related to Sri Sharda Devi. Like almost like a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship. And Bhairavi Brahmani, when she came to Sri Ramakrishna, she tried to, because Sri Ramakrishna practiced the tantric disciplines under her, she was very cautious about many things. And Holy Mother respected her like a mother, served her, and even accepted. Bhairavi Brahmani was a little of a little angry temperament. But Mother digested that also, served her with all devotion. And you see, that was always Mother's bhav. She could never sort of belittle anybody, or for her, everybody was the same. So you will find this very beautiful relationship between the two of them. If you read the life of Sri Ramakrishna, this will become clear. Bhairavi Brahmani was the tantric guru, please understand, of Sri Ramakrishna. So this is something which has not happened in an avatar's life, that he accepted a woman as his guru and practiced the tantric disciplines under her. Yes, anything else?
Ronita, can you just read the Pushpal
Yes.
message?
Mataji, I think
Someone
Shorab
else
is answering that and clearing that doubt. Thank you so
yes,
much.
Pushpal Banerjee, he wants to say that I think all spiritual readings and jnana ultimately coverage in devotion. And that is what Mother signifies. For souls like us who find all the readings at times difficult to comprehend.
Thank you.
Yes, that's a very beautiful observation. That's right. Everything culminates finally in devotion. And if there is no devotion, there is no life.
Thank you, Mataji, and my pranam, and thank you for joining today. It is really, we are blessed to having you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jai Ma, Jai Ma.
Thank you so much.
And Swami Nirgunanandaji is also with us now. So you can begin with Manjusha Chakrabarti.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining. Please welcome Prabhu, artist, and she frequently performs in many prestigious musical concerts all over the world. She has an incredibly gifted voice and has been honing her skills since a tender age. She started learning kirtan, devotional songs, from Geetashree Chobi Bandhopadhyay at the age of 10. She continued her training in classical music from Pandit Manik Datta. Additionally, she learned
Mr. Banerjee, we can't hear you. There is some network issues, maybe.
Biman Mukherjee. Can you hear me now?
No, actually not. There is still some network issues.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, but the sound is not clear.
Should I continue? Is that okay? I can continue
Yeah,
with.
please, Harmanti, please continue. We can't hear from Mr. Banerjee.
Yes.
Yes.
Give me a second. Yes, we welcome Manjusha Chakrabarti. Manjusha is a renowned artist and she frequently performs in many prestigious musical concerts all over the world. She has an incredible gifted voice uh, and has been holding her skills since a tender age. She started learning kirtan, devotional songs, from Gitasri Chabi Bandhopadhyay at 10. She continued her training in classical music from Pandit Manik Datta. Additionally, she learned Puratani devotional songs, ghazals, bhajans, etc. from Sri Shapun Mukhopadhyay, a senior student of Sri Ramkumar Chattopadhyay. She has learned Nazrul Shangit from Biman Mukherjee, Shankar Ghoshal, and Anushwa Mukherjee. She has learned contemporary Bengali music from the Jyotileshwar Mukherjee and Rabindra Shangit from famous Indian singer Sravani Brahmachari. Presently, she has been learning Nazrul Shangit under the well-known singer Nazrul Shangit performers of Bangladesh, Firdaus Ara and Chanda Chakrabarti, and is also training under Sri Gautam Ghoshal. Thank you, Manjusha, for joining us today. We will now start with you.
Thank you. Pranam. I'll start.
Yes, please.
Sweet Jita Sharada हृदय कमला मध्ये स्थापयते विहिता विविधा पाद पाद आनन्दमयी ब्रह्माणि वैष्णवी शेवा शिव जगदम्बा पिता
हमने म्यूट किया था ना आपको।
Thank you so much, Hemant ji. Thank you so much Manjusha ji for song. I wish we could have listened more songs.
My sound is clear?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yes, it was absolutely clear. There were some breakages, but we could hear it very, very well. Thank you. We are running a bit behind the schedule, so and it's quite late in India at the moment. So we are blessed to have. Can you hear me all? Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible nicely. Yeah.
Okay. We are blessed to have Swami Nirgunananda, a monk from Sri Srima Anandamayi order, as one of the speakers at this event. He travels the world to share the figure of India. In his early life, Swami had been a scholar and professor. Can you hear me?
Yes,
And
we
professor
can.
in chemistry, and was involved with many research works. Swami Nirgunanda has been a disciple of Sri Anandamayi since 1978. Right from his arrival in Kankal, Ma took him, asking him to observe silence until Ma left her body in 1982. Afterwards, he was the first pujari on Ma's Samadhi and collaborated with the administration of the Sangha by assisting Swami Swarupananda, the General Secretary. In 1986, he decided to reside in Dholachina. From there, one can see the majestic range of the Great Himalayas at 400 kilometers. And for the past 12 years, Swami Nirvananda has been living there almost continuously. Swamiji, we are so fortunate to have you grace this occasion, and we shall be grateful if you can please continue the talk from now on.
And we are also sorry for we are running little bit late. Swamiji was waiting for his talk for long, so we are sorry, Swamiji, for that. Swamiji, we cannot hear you. It's muted.
Yes.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma to everybody. Om Vishwadarpana Drishamara Nagaritullam Nijantargatam Pashanatmani Maya Vahirdadvatam Yatha Nidra. Can you stop this video, your video, please?
Okay, so we all should stop the video as Swamiji.
Exactly. Om Vishwadarpana Drishamana Nagaritullam Nijantargatam Pashanatmani Maya Vahirdadvatam Yatha Nidra. Yo Sakshat Kurute Prabhuda Samaye Shatmaname Vadvayam Tashmai Sri Gurave Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Sinduraruna Vigraham Trinenam Manikamauliswarat Taranayaka Shikaram Smitamuki Mapina Bhakshoruham Paणिभ्रामलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रति सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां धारयेत् पराम्बिकाम् ॐ भवतापप्रणाशिन्यै आनन्दघनमूर्तये ज्ञानभक्तिप्रदायिन्यै मातस्तुभ्यं नमो नमः. So, Jai Ma to everybody. So, I am supposed to speak on actually Awaken with Eternal Mother, but I could not understand the theme exactly. So I can speak of my mother, Ma Anandamayi, with whom I'm spending my last 45 years and 36 years in Himalayan seclusion. Motherhood means state of being a mother. It is not necessary. Motherhood means is a principle. So a mother may not be a biological mother. Of course, a biological mother is a mother, but my mother is not a biological mother only. Mother is a principle. There are so many definitions of mother, but let us see what definition Ma gave to the word Ma. I quote in Bengali. Ma mane moy, Shrama. Ma mane Atma. Ma mane Atma Satta. Ma mane Gyan Swarup. Ma mane Atma Swarup. Ma mane Shiv Swarup. Unquote. So this is the definitions of mother, definition of Ma given by our Ma. Now we are talking about our Ma, Ma Anandamayi. In the year 1896, on 30th April, a little child, a girl child was born to the couple, Bipin Bihari Bhattacharya and Mukshuda Sundari Devi. Little did her parents and other kings think that this girl was destined to be one of the greatest of the spiritual entity, I would say, in the 20th century India. So this girl was named as Nirmala Sundari, and like Mother Sarada Devi, she was also married. Mother Sarada was married to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa Ji. And another mother, you have talked about the three mothers, Mother Sarada, the Mother Meera of Pondicherry, and Ma Anandamayi. So nobody could think that this little girl, Nirmala Sundari, will be one of the topmost spiritual entity in 20th century world, I would say. And she is the incarnation of motherhood. Here, motherhood is principle. Here, motherhood doesn't mean that one need to be a biological mother. The Nirmala Sundari was given the name Ma Anandamayi when she was in her late 20s. So now we will try to understand the word motherhood in terms of a sayings of Ma, where once she boldly declared that I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian. This sayings of Ma is not my creation, or this sayings is not my imagination. It is recorded in the book. It so happened a lady came to Ma, Western lady came to Ma, and she was seeking some spiritual advice or religious advice from Ma. The Ma said, Ma, what religion do you follow? The lady said, Ma, I am a Catholic Christian. Immediately on her khayal, she uttered, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian. Of course, we will just recollect another sayings of Ma, that all the religions, সব ধর্মের এক ধারা, সব ধারাই এক, আমরা সবাই এক. That means all the religions are of the same trend. All the trends are one, and all of us are one. So here, there is no differentiation, religious differentiation. The greatest Indian saints of 19th century, Thakur Sri Ramakrishna, Paramahamsadev, after practicing several different paths and different religions, declared the one inner harmony between all the religions. His declaration of Sarvadharma Samandaya, a synthesis of all religions, was an epoch-making event in Indian religious history. One may be tempted to find an echo of Thakur Ramakrishna Dev's synthesis in Ma's statement. But unlike Thakur, she never identified herself as an adherent to another religion, religious beliefs, so to say, except in this statement. Besides, she never performed conventional sadhana to achieve any religious goal. Now let us analyze the sayings. Ma said, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian. She uses the present tense. So obviously, literally it would imply that presently he is adhering all the three religions, or the simultaneous adherence to three major contemporary religions. So obviously, this clearly precludes her from any particular religion. Sequential transformation of religious identity is permissible. It is practicable. But if a Christian declares that he is a Hindu or a Muslim, this will be taken as an irreverence to Christianity. Not only that, neither the Hindus nor the Muslim will take him into their respective brotherhood unless he goes through the rites as enjoined in their scriptures. If a Muslim declares that he is a Hindu or a Christian, he will be immediately called as a kafir, an infidel, and an injunction will be issued against him by the clerics of the guardians of Islam. Likewise, if a Hindu, especially a non-spiritual personality, openly declares his religious identity as a Christian or a Muslim, he will be termed as an atheist and will be declared as an outcast from this religion's brotherhood. No religious ethics permit such statement. Of course, if we go through the life of Ma, we see when she was very young, maybe 3 to 5 years old, during her childhood, some Christian missionaries came to in her village to spread the biblical message. As an innocent child, she accompanied them moving around the village, and perhaps she purchased a book also. In another instance, when Ma was living in Shahbag, the garden of the Nawab of Dhaka, while she was living with her husband was a caretaker of that garden of the Nawab. Her spiritual unfolding was in its initial stage at that time. A mazar, that means a Muslim tomb of an Arabian saint, was there near her living quarters. In a state of trance, she offered namaz before the tomb in Arabic, a language quite unknown to her. Except these two instances in her life, there are no deviation from orthodox Hindu ways, although she never demonstrated any antipathy in her words and action towards other religions. Saints, guardians, clerics, and followers from different sects and religion came to Ma during her mortal existence to have a touch of her unqualified love and compassion without any discrimination. This statement of Ma, that I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I am a Christian, was not made in camera. This was published in the books, widely circulated amongst our followers and others all over the world. Astonishingly, not a single word of protest surfaced from any corners of the world and the religious community in general, or from any section of the Orthodox Hindu fraternity in particular. Why? There could be two reasons. First, perhaps no one paid any heed to this important declaration. And secondly, people might have overlooked or ignored the inner meaning of it. In this context, it should also be remembered that the ascetics in the ashram established in the name of Ma, where we are also living, spread over different parts of India and one or two abroad, the ashramites are asked to follow strictly the Orthodox Hindu way of living. Ma's religious identity had never been questioned in any corner of the world. It should be remembered that the common man very often makes statement of convenience to suit the immediate circumstances. And many make changes or amendments to it in another context. But wherever, and whatever a saint says, it is the product of his conviction and commitment towards the religion he belongs to. His words are like a scriptural injunction that may not be changed. From the recorded history of religion all over the world, one can find that religious activism, fundamentalism, and conservatism gave birth to intra and inter-religious conflict, resulting in wars and bloodshed. The present world is no exception to this deplorable situation. Instead of guiding the followers to a quiet life of amity and peace, it makes the life of innocent masses fearful and miserable. The guardians of the religion, who are supposed to deliver truth to the world, miss their way and are trapped in the conflict along with their followers. Naturally, a question may crop up in an intelligent mind about the view of life from where Ma made such unconventional utterance. It could neither be from any religious platform, nor it could be taken as a slogan of secularism. This is surely a statement of absolute freedom from any religious barrier, pointing to the basic vision of all religion. It is an utterance of non-discriminating and unqualified love for all creation, which is the mother of all religion. Let us take a practical example. Suppose a Hindu mother has 3 children. Each of them embraced a separate religious faith with her consent. Should the love of the mother differ according to their belief? Let us take another practical instance I came across of such an instance in my one of my tour to the West. It's like that a young Christian lady with a child, after the demise of her husband, got converted to Islam and was married to a Muslim. She gave birth to another child from her Muslim husband. Should her past and present religious faith stand in the way of love towards her two children? There is nothing like Hindu love, Christian love, or Islamic love. Love is the aquarius of life which dissolves everything, including religion. A liberal Hindu ascetic may not disregard Christianity or Islam and has reverence for other faiths as well. But the Holy Bible or the Holy Cross and the Holy Quran will not have any place in his altar of worship. Similarly, a liberal Muslim or a Christian will not worship any Hindu idol or Hindu icon. So now let us consider from what platform Ma uttered this. She uttered this from the platform of a mother. A mother as a human being may or may not adhere to a religion, particular religion. But the motherhood, in fact, transcends all religion. So, in fact, the motherhood cannot be bracketed within the limitations of any religion. So, a mother is a mother. And her motherhood is free from all religious barrier. Jai Ma.
Thank you, Swami.
Okay, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Okay, thank you, thank you.
For your thank you. Hoymanti, you can play the, should I introduce Govind?
Yeah, before Govindji, we will
And
start with
Govindji,
prayer for mother.
you can switch on your videos now.
Sure, sure. Are there any questions for Swamiji that we just want to talk? Are there any questions? Anybody wants to ask him any questions? I just want
Swamiji has
sure
left the meeting already.
Oh, he has left. Okay.
What
Okay.
you can do, if you send me your questions, I can forward to Swamiji. For anyone that I'm requesting you, if you have any question for Swamiji, You can write on chat box, or if you have my contact, you can send me as a WhatsApp message, and I can forward to Swamiji, and I will get back to you for answers.
Video on the mother now. To introduce Govindji first.
Yeah, Dr. Jashish, I want to just play a prayer for mother. Then we will introduce Govindji and he can continue his talk.
आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे ॐ 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 आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे सत्यमयी परमे ॐ आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे ॐ आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे ॐ आनन्दमयी चैतन्यमयी सत्यमयी परमे सत्यमयी परमे सत्यमयी परमे ॐ
We can start with Govindji. You can use him.
Govindji, thank you for being so patient and waiting. Please welcome Govindji from New Jersey. He is president of Sri Aurobindo Yoga Foundation of North America. He aspires to be a true child of the Divine Mother, seeks to understand from her the secret of the Trinity of mysteries that she embodies and which we conceive of as God, His creation, and a purpose in it. To this end, he endeavors to progressively surrender to the Mother, letting her lead and even carry him on the path that is Sri Aurobindo's integral yoga. Thank you, Govindji. We are so blessed to have you in this platform. You may please continue now. Thank you, Govindji.
The the blessing is all mine. I'm very blessed to be here, and I must express my sincerest gratitude for being allowed and invited to come and take some of the time of the folks who are kindly here to listen. And I actually find myself a little bit out of place because the people who are here speaking are, are in such a totally different league from me. You know, they are great swamis and renunciants and sages and gurus in their own right. And I am just a simple and humble individual. a very ordinary person who has been blessed extraordinarily. So yes, the blessings are all mine. Thank you very much. So everybody can hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
great. Excellent, excellent. Right, and I just wanted to acknowledge what we just heard from, I think, the Mataji from Shri Ramakrishna, the Parivrajika. She said something very, sorry,
Yeah.
Divyananda Prana, yes. She said something very, very beautiful, which I just wanted to repeat. And I'll paraphrase it, that whoever we worship, whatever religion we follow, and whatever mode of bhakti that we may adopt, ultimately, what the deepest desire, the deepest need, and the demand that each one of has is ultimately for the mother. And she basically said it. She said that we all want the mother. And this actually is something that is really a very great truth. That our conception, our highest, most cherished and dearest conception of God is essentially that of the mother. Because what do we expect of God? We want God to be somebody who is always there with us, who will never leave us, who will never judge us, who will always love us, who will always help us, and who will take care of us in every way. And ultimately, this is what we want, right? From our ideal, the highest ideal conception of God that we can come up with. This is what we want. And truly, this describes, what does this describe? This describes the Divine Mother, the mother who is God become our mother. I mean, ultimately, anybody asks me, Govin, what do you do as a part of your sadhana or as a spiritual, or what would you suggest that other people should do? And my answer is very simple. It's totally uncomplicated, very small. I say simply approach God as the mother, and that is the highest, best, and most wonderful way to approach God. And for so many centuries, we have had so many gods. We still have so many gods, who are very, very firm and very stern, and they divide humanity into those who are going to heaven, those who are going to hell. And apparently, this God is somebody who you meet in heaven, and who will throw you in hell. But you cannot conceive of God as the mother doing that, because if God is mother, then you know in your heart of hearts that even if you are in hell, she will be with you where you are, and that is the conception of God that ultimately all of us really cherishes from the very bottom of our heart. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and just start out with that, because it was something so powerful just listening to her, and it really touched my heart and really brought out the essence of what I also ultimately have come to realize, and just want to share that with everybody. With the mother, the mother that I'm speaking of now, the Divine Mother, or the mother we know of as the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. Since we have already heard so many wonderful things about divine motherhood, I will try to limit my comments on what is it that really makes the mother so special, so unique, and really the supreme value that is there behind her appearance, her coming, her birth, and the work that she has done for humanity. And this brings to mind a very small story, a very nice story that somebody told me, and I had heard it at some place. So apparently there was a devotee of the mother, and this person, obviously when you're a devotee, you tend to ask everything from the mother, right? That is the standard definition of a devotee, that if you are devoted to a particular divine being or entity, you get your wishes fulfilled by that person. So this person apparently had it in for somebody else and wasn't very happy and had some very bad intentions towards somebody who had wronged him or her. So this person started praying to the mother that something bad should happen to this other person. It was a not very good kind of a prayer, but it was something where he or she was wishing that something bad should happen. So she used to pray. And funnily, is what she found out, what this person found out was that this other person, only good things were happening. And he or she was progressing in life, doing great in life, and all good things were happening. Only nice things were happening. So this person became very puzzled. So the next time this person met the mother, I think it was she. She said that, mother, this is what has happened. I, in a moment of weakness, or I must have become angry with this person. Saying, I wanted something bad to happen to this person. I was praying to you, but what I found out was only good things were happening, and she was only benefiting apparently. So what is this? Aren't you supposed to answer your prayers, the prayers of your children, your bhaktas? So mother told her that, look, if you bring anybody in contact with my consciousness, never expect anything bad to happen. That only good can happen if you bring that person in contact with my consciousness. So you actually did this person a favor. So if you really wanted something bad to happen, this was the last thing you should have done. Because when you bring that person in contact with my consciousness, only good will happen. And this is such an illustrative story that this person, this third person, did not even come in contact with the mother. Was not even somebody who was a bhakta, or let's say a devotee. But just because somebody prayed that something bad should happen, that was enough for mother's grace and mother's love and mother's gifts to start flowing towards that person, and only good happen. So this is the beauty, this is the absolute miracle and magic of the Divine Mother, that even such a remote, such an unlikely contact can result in such wonderful benefits, such wonderful gifts, such wonderful happiness and joy can happen. So what would happen in case if we really turned to her and really sought to establish a living communion and union with the Divine Mother? How much more would be benefit? And in this sense, this encapsulates to me what the mother really came to do in this world, that she came into this world so that all that is best for humanity, all that is best for this world would happen just by her coming. And something very unique about the mother, some of you may know, others may not know. The starting point of her journey, her mission, her birth, is that she was born not in India. She was not born in India. She was born in France. And if there is one country that we can say is not spiritual, entirely material, and completely ruled by the principle of reason and rationality, in all the world, it is France. So she was not born in India, she was born in France, in a country where the whole milieu was very, very, not just non-spiritual, but anti-spiritual, because it is very, very materialistic and focused on the here and now, and a very rationalistic people. Again, I don't say this is a bad thing, it's a very beautiful thing, but it's just a fact. Right? Not only that the family in which she was born was so of a nationalistic bent of mind. Neither were they spiritual nor were they religious. And her own mother, the mother talks about her own mother, was something of a very strict rationalist type, where she would not tolerate any kind of superstitious nonsense, any kind of spiritual mumbo jumbo. And she exerted that influence on the mother from childhood. Not only that, she had no influence around her who could give her any instructions in spirituality or religion. In fact, the atmosphere that she was born in was extremely anti-religious, because the modern age had just started, was in its full swing, and it was very conscious of the fact that it had achieved its gains by abandoning the old religion of Christianity. And one can actually see this influence in the mother's upbringing also, because uh, this God that we spoke about, this God who throws people into hell and keeps them in heaven, she was, at a very early age, she rejected that idea. So I just want to give you a sense of the starting point of the mother, at what starting point she actually assumes her journey and where she ends up. So this was in 1878. The mother was born in 1878, and till 1914, she was largely living in France. 1940. In 1914, she traveled to India and she met Sri Aurobindo for the first time in Pondicherry. And I just want you to consider this one fact. When she met Sri Aurobindo in 1914, by that time, she was already a fully self-realized person. Not only that, but she had also mastered all of the occult sciences that we consider, we would call tantric in our tradition. And she had done this by herself, and she had done this outside of India, in the most rationalistic country you can imagine. This is perhaps something that has never happened in the history of humanity, forget about India. Because what happens with India is that India is actually the country of knowledge. India is actually the temple of the divine, where everybody comes from all the different parts of the world to get the divine knowledge. It has rarely happened that somebody who is actually fully self-realized and fully a master of all the occult siddhis actually outside of India and then comes to India. How did this happen? It has to be something, because it gives you the greatest proof that there was something within the mother itself which was divine. Otherwise, without that, it could not have been possible. And Sri Aurobindo also acknowledges this, that from her birth itself, the mother was very different. She had a totally different consciousness. She did not have the ordinary human consciousness. And from mother's own recollections, it is very clear, if you look at the incidents in her life at that time, how she actually went through life, what are the experiences that she had. She has a very remarkable and very unique life. And this is to really kind of give us an idea of why this birth was necessary, why this kind of life was necessary. Because the mother was born with a mission and a purpose. Unlike ordinary human beings, she was conscious of a mission and a purpose from her very young age. And all the experiences that she had, for example, she speaks of a certain phase in her life when she was very young, when in her dreams, in her sleep, all of these different masters would come to her and instruct her in spiritual and occult sciences. And it was there that she first met Sri Aurobindo also. The way he looked, the way he would look many years later, she saw him as a child in her dreams, and he would instruct her and guide her. And she learned to call him Krishna. She says, mother says that I had no idea whatsoever of anything Indian, of anything Asian, yet the word that I used to call him was Krishna. And what the mother says is, as she progressed between 11 and 13, these are the ages, 11, 13, a series of psychic and spiritual experiences revealed to me not only, and I'm just going to break this sentence into parts because this so very beautifully encapsulates the whole purpose of her life. This is when she's 11 and 13, right? These psychic and spiritual experiences revealed to me not only, number one, the existence of God, right? Not only the existence of the two, but man's possibility of uniting with him. 3, of realizing him integrally in consciousness and action. And 4, of manifesting him upon earth in divine life. So as a child itself, she has been dictated almost like this entire program from within of what? Of the existence of God, of man's possibility of uniting with him, of realizing him integrally in consciousness and action, and of manifesting him upon earth in divine life. Now we'll come back to these 4 things because these 4 things are really key. Because let's take a look at the first one, the existence of God. This is perhaps the most common level at which humans operate, let us say, that we are ready to at least verbally profess or mentally believe in the existence of God. Right? This is the level of almost all religions. 99% of let's say theistic humanity, which is willing to believe in God, is at this level. But beyond that, there is another step where you don't just stop or say that it is simply enough to believe in God. You want to go ahead and you say you want to unite with God, right? Now this idea, the idea of unity with God, really is at the core of Indian civilization and Hindu spirituality or Indian spirituality. It is really the one spirituality and the one civilization is based on this whole idea that it is not just possible to unite with God, but indeed it is your ultimate destiny and the reason for your existence as a human being. And this, the mother realized in France at a very early age. So what has happened is that most of humanity, even spiritually, is still at this level, where we are really ready to accept that, yes, there is something like God, and individually, anybody who chooses to or really has a burning desire or aspiration can and eventually will find God and unite with him. However, what has happened is the world has today at least been divided into 2 broad camps. What Sri Aurobindo in the Life Divine, his magnum opus, describes as the materialist denial and the ascetic refusal. And what this basically means is, if you look at the materialists around us, they basically say that God is non-existent. Why? Because God cannot be sensed. God is insensible, right? You cannot sense God. He is, for all practical purposes, invisible and unverifiable. There is nothing like God because there is only what we consider to be the world as our senses reported to us, right? This is what the materialist believes. On the other side, the other idea which really dominates, the spiritual idea that dominates, which Aurobindo calls the ascetic refusal, is that the idea of the spiritual person who says that, look, the world and everything in it is impermanent. That there is nothing here which is constant. There is nothing here which has an abiding reality of its own. If there is anything that is truly existent, truly eternal, truly something that persists and doesn't just change from moment to moment, like just a piece of cloud or some flowing water, then it has to be something that's outside of the world, something that's beyond the world. And that eternal is God. And what the ascetic or the spiritual thought, even today, what it asserts is that this eternal has to be something that is beyond the world. That even if it is in the world, yet the world is something that has to be transcended, something that has to be put aside, and we have to find this eternal and put the world aside. These two ideas have dominated, and even today they dominate, right? Uh, in this context, if we look at, for example, the trajectory of Indian spirituality also, it has still stayed within this framework. The one great exception was the Bhagavad Gita, because here, if you look at the message of Sri Krishna, even though he accepts that our ultimate goal is the eternal, that our ultimate objective is the divine, he still says that we have to have a very active life in the world, right? We have to essentially engage with the world, and at least we don't necessarily need to abandon the world, and we function within the world, and we realize God. That message which Sri Krishna gave, that yoga which Sri Krishna declared, and which he says that he was reviving because it was lost in the span of time, that is what we call karma yoga. Now, we can get an idea of how revolutionary that message was when we look at a very simple fact that even today, the two yogas, the two paths that still dominate all spirituality are the paths of jnana and bhakti. Because most spiritual movements, most spiritual groups, most spiritual paths neatly fall within these two categories. Either the emphasis is on attaining through jnana or through bhakti. Even though elements of karma are there through service, etc., the emphasis is not on karma. The emphasis is still either on knowledge or bhakti. So it is such a revolutionary yoga that Sri Krishna gave that even today, it is something that is still not yet fully manifested or come to fruition. Now, even though Sri Krishna actually added something so important to the spiritual history of humanity, even Sri Krishna stopped short at one stage, which is still the universal goal of all Indian spirituality. The goal of all Indian spirituality, whatever may be the path, whatever may be the approach, is still the cessation of rebirth. That all your rebirths have to come to an end, and you have to find mukti or moksha, and you have to find the eternal. Right? The question that spirituality has not yet answered is, if that is the goal, then why was the world created in the first place? What is the purpose of the world? And many answers have been given. You can even start with the assumption that, look, the question itself is fallacious, it is of no use. What you should do is get out of this world of ignorance, inconscience, falsehood, and suffering, which are all truths about the world, that you should get out of them and not even ask the question, right? Other people have given the answer that yes, this world is undivine, and even in places anti-divine. And really, you have to look upon it as a Maya, that there is Brahman, the divine, and then there is Maya, as a dream or some kind of an illusion that the Brahman creates for himself. But there is no purpose beyond that. There are still others who say that this world is a Leela of God, right? Leela meaning that it is some kind of a play which God undertakes by becoming all of these things, and that there is a joy within it which he derives from the play itself. But then the question again becomes, if this world is a Leela, why is it a Leela of ignorance? Why is it a Leela of falsehood? Why is it a Leela of unconsciousness and inconscience and suffering? Is that all that the world is? Is that all that it's meant for? This was the question that still remained to be answered. And the answer came embodied in the mother. Because the whole purpose of the mother, the whole thrust of the mother's spirituality, her whole aim from the very beginning was to really bring this destiny of the world to the front. Because as we go back to what she had said, even as a child, she realized that you didn't need to stop at just uniting with God. You didn't need to stop just at realizing Him integrally in consciousness and action, which is the level at which Sri Krishna also reached, right, and preached. But there was one more final level, and this is the real key, right, of manifesting Him upon earth in divine life. So the mother had come to embody a totally new approach to spirituality, which built upon all of the spirituality of the past, but also fulfilled it and culminated it in this final answer, that why the world? Why does this world exist? What is the purpose of the world? And the answer is that yes, God exists and the world exists in relation to God, but there is behind the world a very definite will, and that will is the mother. In Sri Aurobindo's magnum opus, his other great work, or his greatest work really, which is the I think the longest epic poem in the English language, called Savitri. When he talks about the birth of the mother, he uses a very beautiful line. He says, once more, that will took on an earthly shape. So what is the mother? The mother is the manifestation of the will of God. What is it that I intend to do for the world? Let me show you. Let me answer that question for you. And that answer we can summarize by saying that it is an evolution towards the life divine, an evolution of consciousness. That it is not just that the world was created in ignorance, but it also is evolving in the ignorance. And we can clearly see this not just in science today, because science tells us that we started from matter, from dead matter, from unconscious matter. And from that matter, life emerged. And from that life, intelligence came, right? Or intelligent life emerged. Intelligent living matter emerged. So you see, there are three levels, three broad levels: the level of matter, the level of life, living matter, and the level of mind, which is intelligent living matter. So even science tells us about this kind of an evolution, although it portrays it as simply or merely a physical evolution. But from spiritual perspective also, if we look at our centers, what we call, others call chakras, for example, our lowest centers correspond to the level of matter. Our intermediate centers, which rise towards and include the heart center, they are primarily centers of life and prana. And above that, the throat centers and above, they are centers of the mind. So we can clearly see that if we acknowledge the history of the world, what we see there is a gradual evolution in nature, an evolution from matter, an evolution from matter to life, an evolution from matter and life to mind. Now, if that is the case, what is to say that there is not a level beyond mind? If we look at the evolution, clearly we can see that it is an evolution of more and more conscious beings that come corresponding to higher and higher levels of consciousness. Now, if that is the case, what is to stop us from envisioning that one day there will be other beings who correspond to even higher levels of consciousness, who will be literally like gods upon the earth? And this idea, Sri Aurobindo and the mother called evolution in knowledge. So the world as we see it today, the beings that we are today, we are only preparatory. We are not final. And preparatory also in a very preliminary sense, because the real preparation is for the evolution in knowledge, because all the higher centers that we possess, that we can access through spiritual disciplines, through sadhana, they can also be generalized in humanity. And so this was the objective for which the mother and Sri Aurobindo from different parts of the earth. One was in France, one was in Pondicherry. They both came at the same idea at the same time. One was a Bengali leader of a nationalist movement, another was a French lady. And not only that, but in the ages when there was no radio, well, some radios there, no television, there was no aeroplanes, they actually came together and met and they recognized each other. And after recognizing each other, they united and they said, we have to work together for this objective. This is truly one of the most miraculous stories in the history of humanity. If we just want to consider it also, it's truly amazing that they had the same objective and they met even though worlds apart. And they worked towards this goal from the day that they met and even before they were working, but then they joined forces and it became a very real force in the history of the world. So basically the idea is that the evolution that we are going through right now, the evolution in ignorance, it is only preparing for the real evolution. The beings that we are, the world that we are in, it is simply a vessel. In this vessel, the divine Amrit must come down. In these vessels, the divine consciousness must come down. What is beyond the material consciousness? What is beyond the pranic or the life consciousness? What is beyond the mind or the mental consciousness? That consciousness which is in possession of the truth, which is based on the truth of self-knowledge and world knowledge and God knowledge, that consciousness which they call the truth consciousness, Satya Chetana, the supramental consciousness. It is there and waiting for us, and the mother and Sri Aurobindo strove their whole lives to bring this down. This is what the mother embodied, this will of God for the world. And not only that, but just because her mission and her focus was so much on the world, you can see that she truly was like the Shakti. You know, when we say a Shakti, what do we mean? Shakti we associate with power, right? Unlimited, infinite power. And people could see that. Like, she is the person who actually, when she came to India with Sri Aurobindo, through her massive organizational power, she built the whole Sri Aurobindo ashram. She started Auroville. And even today, that power is working. And not only that, but she also functioned in world politics as well. For example, we know that Sri Aurobindo and the mother were there during World War II. What most people don't know, that during World War II, they actually put their sadhana to the side and they became fully involved in putting their force behind the Allied powers against the Axis powers and Hitler. Because even today, forget about Indians, even the Westerners don't understand what Hitler represented. Many people even today say that he was just some nationalist, some German nationalist, or he was some racist, or he was just a world conqueror. No, if we look at Hitler, do you know what his end goal was? What his dream was? His dream was not a German dream. His dream was not merely a racist dream. His dream was the Superman. He wanted to create something and evolve something out of humanity, which was higher than humanity, a divine being. This is exactly the same as what Mother and Sri Aurobindo were trying a half a world away. But his dream of the God man was of a completely cruel, completely heartless, and completely ruthless kind of a God. Truly what we would call an Asuric being. While Mother and Sri Aurobindo were trying for an absolutely truly divine being, a being of knowledge, a being of consciousness, a being of love, and a being of power. So you can again see this amazing coincidence that at that time the greatest evil comes into the world and its goal or its program is the near total mirror image of what is there of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Again, giving us a clue that this is the divine work for which Mother and Sri Aurobindo had come. There are also records of, I've read the records of certain generals fighting in the Bangladesh war, which again happened during the 1972 year, which is the 100th birth centenary of Sri Aurobindo. And those generals have said that they actually were calling on the mother's force and they were invoking it and they felt it working. There's a very story of this one general, I think Krishna Tiwari, who was given a blessing packet of the mother's and he used to invoke the mother. And one day his superior came to him and said, we are in deep trouble. So he said, what happened? So she says, I have just heard that China is about to enter into the war. So Krishna Tiwari said, oh, that is really very bad, of course. But then his superior said, but not to worry. You know why? And he also pulled out a blessing packet of the mother and said, look, I have this. The mother is on our side. Nothing is going to happen. And eventually nothing happened. So this is how the mother worked even in the geopolitical world, in the world outside. So she was extremely involved, not only in this world and its affairs, but also in doing the yoga also for humanity. And I think I'll just end with this. So basically, how does this vision of this new approach to society, spirituality, how does it concretize itself? How does it become living and real? It is through a new yoga which has been given by Sri Aurobindo and the mother, which they call the integral yoga or the Purna yoga, or the yoga of supramental transformation. And here again, the mother is front and center at the heart, at the very core of this yoga. Because how does this yoga work? It works simply by the fact that the mother came, and when she first met Sri Aurobindo, her first instinct, as it were, was to surrender to him. And Sri Aurobindo describes it. When Sri Aurobindo was once asked, when you first met the mother, when she came from France, what was your impression of her? And Sri Aurobindo says that my impression of her was that she was the one person who could sacrifice herself completely or surrender herself completely, even down to the very cells of her body. Now imagine this. This is again a value that we naturally seem to associate with Indians and Indian culture. And it seems to be foreign to a Western culture. But again, look at the miracle that mother coming from France was able to do that. So on one side, she surrenders herself to the divine Lord, to Sri Aurobindo. But on the other side, the mother says that whoever comes to do the yoga, she also identifies with each one of the sadhaks, each one of the aspirants who sincerely come to do the yoga. And she says that an emanation of her, like a portion of her, a part of her, something that comes out of her, like she herself comes to live with that person, live with that sadhak. And through that emanation, she is the person who actually guides the sadhak. She is the person actually who does the sadhana for the sadhak. So you can see like the mother gives herself completely to the divine, gives herself completely, surrenders herself completely to the Lord on one side. And on the other, she gives herself completely to her children, to her sadhaks, to the world. And there is another word for this self-giving. What is the word for the self-giving? The word it's something that we know very well, a very familiar word, but we generally don't use it in the right sense. That word is love. Because the mother is that love embodied, and we have heard that about from the other speakers, that this self-giving that comes so naturally to her, and about which Sri Aurobindo also speaks in the epic poem that I mentioned, Savitri, that a wide self-giving was her native act. That basically that it came naturally to her, and her heart was so big that the whole universe could find refuge in her heart. So not only is this something that is a totally new approach to spirituality, and it culminates all spirituality that preceded before it, it gives us the answer. And she is the answer. She, that evolutionary force, that Shakti of creation, Shakti of evolution, embodied, is the answer to our question that why are we in this world? What is the purpose of the world? Is it just that we have to get liberation and just escape so that our rebirths are done? Or are we here to do something for the world? What is the destiny of the world? That is what is unique about the mother. That is what is special about her. That is what is really something that is unparalleled. And if that is the question that you have, and that is the answer that you seek, then you have to come to this being of love, and you will truly have all knowledge poured on you, all blessings poured on you. And just as an ordinary person, I know there are hundreds and thousands of other ordinary people who will give the same testimony, that it's really up to us how much we want, what she wants to give us, what our capacity is to receive. So she's really like an oceanic Ganga of knowledge and grace, just waiting to pour down into us. And it's basically up to us, our capacity, our holding power, that really determine what we can get from her. But otherwise, this is what really she stands for. And it's something so wonderful and amazing. And I would really encourage other folks who are interested to look it up. There's probably other speakers out there also that you can listen to, or any other books that you would like to refer to. It's such a, again, just like to end by saying it's such a great privilege to be here. Lately, I've been reading about Anand Mahima and about Shardama also just recently, and I've begun to feel very close to them. So it was wonderful to be invited here to hear about them as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Govindji. Thank you so much. It was so profound and knowledgeable.
Thank you, Govind. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Ronita, can you?
We are to have you and speak regarding
Was there a question? Or, sorry.
I think something went wrong at Mr. Banerjee's place. So to the audience, if there is anyone who is willing to ask Govindji something, you can message us, text us in the message box. We will convey the message to Govindji. He will be here with us for some few times. So if there is any kind of question, you can ask it. We have Govindji with us. Any kind of question is there? Anybody willing to ask something, willing to know something? We have Govindji. Not clear, not clear, Mr. Banerjee. We can hear you, but it's the sound doesn't come clear.
Okay. Any questions?
I think it's probably very late in India as well. So
yeah.
Actually, it is.
So we can
Actually, it is.
go forward, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, people can see me in their dreams, and ask me questions there. So
that's good. Yeah? If they're seeing in the dream, that means they take your talk so deeply.
Seriously,
So
yes.
they will dreaming.
Yeah, they should
Very close
they
to
should
heart.
see the mother. I'm nobody. They should see the mother in the dream. She can answer all my questions. So
Absolutely.
thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so I can.
Thank you so much, Govind. Our next speaker is Dr. Sudhish Chandra Banerjee, a disciple of the Ramakrishna Mission, as one of the speakers today. He is nearly 90 years old, and we are and devotion in this age. A books published nationally, research international journals, and 2 patents to his credit. He took up studies on scriptures, including Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature, in 1993, and has been publishing articles in different journals as a freelance writer, share his thoughts. In 2019, he authored a book on excess of Swami Vivekananda. Please welcome Dr. Sudhish Chandra Banerjee. You can use a headphone because this is a recorded video and the sound may not be very clear if you don't use a headphone.
Thank the organizers for arranging talks on the 3 icon figures of motherhood, Srima Sarada Devi, Mother of Aravinda Ashram, and Ma Anandamayi. Though I could offer my pranam to Ma Anandamayi when she visited Ranchi and Dhanbad, and could also pay my regards visiting the Samadhi site of Mother at Pondicherry, however, I would like to offer my obeisance to Srima Sarada Devi with a few words on her sharing my thoughts with you all. What could be the first introduction of Srimad Sarada Devi? Will she be known as the consort of Thakur Sri Ramakrishna or as Holy Mother whose prayers, support and wisdom helped to establish Ramakrishna modern mission, ushering in the Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement for spiritual growth of mankind? Or is she an unique example of divine motherhood who looked upon herself as the mother of all beings and spent her whole life serving all as her children, undergoing unending sacrifice and self-denial? She herself said to her devotee, "My son, you know the master had a maternal attitude, Matri Bhava, towards everyone. He has left behind me to manifest the divine motherhood in the world." In the entire Hindu religious history of other avatars, Srima is unique, who played a pivotal role in accomplishing the task of Avatar Thakur Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Krishna said to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, "You cannot see my cosmic form with these physical eyes of yours. Therefore I grant you the divine vision to see my majestic opulence." Likewise, we need the vision of Swami Vivekananda to really understand the significance and greatness of Srimad Sarada Devi. In 1894, Swamiji writes to his brother disciple Swami Shivananda, "My dear brother, you have not yet understood the wonderful significance of mother's life. None of you, but gradually you will know. Without Shakti, there is no regeneration for the world. Mother has been born to revive that wonderful Shakti in India, and making her the nucleus, once more Gargi and Maitreyi will be born into the world." About Sri Ramakrishna, Swamiji wrote in the same letter that Ramakrishna was God incarnate, and without studying first, one can never understand the real importance of Vedas, of the Bhagavat and other Puranas. He lived in one life the whole cycle of the national and religious existence in India. Despite such high esteem of a Thakur, Swamiji added, "We can argue over Sri Ramakrishna, but not over Mother. Her words are the last word to be accepted with obedience." In the life story of Swamiji, we find that despite having the vision of Thakur urging him to go for Chicago Parliament of Religion, he was in a dilemma and waited till Srima blessed him, affirming the visit. Over which Swamiji writes, "Before proceeding to America, I wrote to Mother to bless me. Her blessings came, and at one leap I cleared the ocean, attaining all success in America." Thakur also looked upon Srima as a special manifestation of Divine Mother of the universe. He used to say, "She is Sharada, the goddess of learning. She has come to the world, concealing her image to bestow knowledge to the world." Thakur had so much regard for Srima that he used to stand up in reverence to her, addressing her as Brahmamayi, the universal mother, when she used to come to him with his food. Srima was also Ramakrishna Gata Prana. She was Ramakrishna all over and started worshipping Thakur's photo in his lifetime itself, which we all worship now. But on the domain of motherhood, she was firm and even says to Thakur, "I cannot refuse if somebody asks something addressing me as mother." Thakur gracefully honors that motherhood identity of Srima. In fact, the assurance of Srima's grace of granting anything to her children remains today also as a great solace to all of us. Sharadamani was very young when stories of Thakur Sri Ramakrishna's esoteric worship at Dakshineshwar started trickling in Kamarpukur and Jarambati, where she was staying. Nobody understood the spiritual practices of Thakur and yearning for the God, and they took him to be lunatic. The young Sharadamani insisted to be beside him at Dakshineshwar, despite objections from her family and neighbors. This journey to Dakshineshwar then resulted in a most amazing spiritual journey in the religious history of India. The non-dual Shiva Shakti reunited, the Jugal Radha Krishna, Rama Sita reunited, and this unification resulted in her continuing and spreading the work of Thakur after Thakur passed away in 1886. In 1872, on the night of Phaloharini Kali Puja, Thakur ritualistically worshipped Shiva as the Divine Mother, an awakening universal motherhood latent in her when she was just 18. When disciples began to gather around Thakur, Srima started caring upon them as her own children. The room in which she stayed at the Kinester was too small to live in and had hardly any amenities. And on many days, she did not even get the opportunity of meeting Thakur's Ramakrishna. But she lived in perfect contentment, harmony, and happiness, serving the increasing number of devotees who visited Thakur and never once complaining of the hardship she had to endure. In the biography of Srima, we find child Sharoda cleaning the unwanted water with grass in the pond, standing in neck-deep water along with her mother Shamasundari Devi, or fanning with her tender hands to cool the hot boiled food being served by her father Ramachandra Mukherjee to the famine-stricken people around her village Arambati. All throughout her life, she showed us the path of maintaining perfect bliss within oneself, despite remaining in immediate hardship, almost up to the neck, and serving as a role model to usher in peace and joy by fanning with the cool air of spirituality to the grief-struck householders who are similarly surrounded by all odds of life. Avatars endure a lot of pain to teach the world. Likewise, Srima Sharada's whole life was like Jesus Christ, who died on the cross, adorned with a crown of thorns. In our first reading of the biography of Srima, we are confused to find as to why Srima, the living goddess Durga Swamiji, had to endure so much difficulty. She faced immense poverty after Thakur passed away. She had a niece Radhu, the Jogamaya, who was apparently eccentric. Her brothers, unfortunately, were not helpful and rather greedy, and they often made her life quite difficult. One wonders why Srima, whom devotees consider as goddess Kali, was surrounded to such elements who made her life so difficult. Thakur says the householders involved in householders in such elements who made her. Thakur says the householders involved in spirituality should lead a life without getting involved in the murky waters of householder life. On closer study, it got clear that they all were the actors who played their role as flames of fire surrounding Mother, who remained undeterred despite all odds. But they all knew who Ma Sharada was. Radhu was always nagging her, asking for something or other. However, the Maharaja of Ranam opened his locker full of jewels and diamonds, asking Radhu to choose anything she liked. Radhu refused to take anything and asked for a piece of pencil that she had lost. After also Radhu's mother, who also had mental health problems, had sometimes even heard abuse to Srima, got terribly upset and alarmed when her feet somehow touched the body of Srima, because despite playing the role of fiery flames engulfing her, they all knew Srima in reality was Jagadamba, the mother of the universe. They had to play such a negative role, as Srima had to demonstrate an ideal life despite all apparent odds in her worldly life. Thakur asked the householders that as mud water fish doesn't have any mud clinging over their body, like that we should live a clean life with our major efforts in God realization, keeping only small fraction of our efforts for accomplishing worldly tasks. But all these would have remained rather theoretical and lofty, unbelievable ideas if Srima had not demonstrated this with her own life. Srima was worshipped as living goddess in her lifetime, but yet she lived an extraordinary simple life, remaining fully engaged in ordinary household jobs, like any other ordinary women folk of that age. She imparted spiritual guidance, responding to spiritual queries of the devotees or monks, and sometimes this was while she was engaged in doing regular household chores. In Bhagavad Gita, we read the Pandita or wise person or a Trigunatita person have an equanimity vision, Samadarshitva attitude to all beings. We also find such an attitude of Srima when she says, as Sharad is my son, so is Amjad. Whether it is the General Secretary of Ramakrishna Mission, Srima's highly dependable Sharat Maharaj, or the Muslim jailbird dacoit Amjad, None are deprived from affection of Srima, the universal mother. We are equally amazed to find the reciprocated attitude of Amjad on finding a full-grown gourd in his house. Amjad thought of offering it to Srima and straightway comes to her as she, the embodiment of affection and motherhood, was the only dependable shelter of that hardened dacoit. Sima was free from all bigotry. She asked Radhu to offer her pranam touching the feet of a non-Brahmin Ayurveda doctor visiting them. When others protested as to how non-Brahmin's feet be touched by a Brahmin girl, Sima retorted, saying, "Such a wise person always deserves great regard." Even Rabindranath Tagore, in early formative years of Shantiniketan, dared not keep non-Brahmin teachers thinking how a Brahmin student could offer pranam touching the feet of a non-Brahmin teacher. Such advanced value sense of Sima at that period is an eye-opener indeed. Swamiji's spiritual daughter Nivedita rightly raised the point whether Sima is the vanguard of ideal womanhood of modern age or an icon, ideal icon of ancient Vedic India. She commented her whole life is like a silent prayer. And a dazzling personality like Nivedita, who prior to meeting Swami Vivekananda lived in Wimbledon in London and moved in the highest elite class of England, used to feel proud to call herself Sima's cookie, baby in Bengali, by which Sima used to address her. Nivedita used to remain overjoyed like a 5-year-old little girl in presence of Sima. In fact, the most widely worshipped picture of Sima we see today was arranged and taken at the request of Sister Nivedita. We may conclude with a story of a monk devotee Hari Prem. One evening, he was massaging the feet of Sima with a medicinal oil to give her some relief from arthritic pain in which she was suffering for a long time. Sima, being old and frail at that time and with years of sickness due to malaria, had a huge toll on her health. Suddenly a thought came to Hari Prem that Sima is said to be Goddess Jagadhati herself. Then how is it that Goddess Jagadhati had such an emaciated old body with half-cracked feet spread out from arthritic pain? As soon as that thought peeped in him, he noticed it was no longer the feet of an old woman, but feet of a young lady with golden trinklets. Quite alarmed, he looked up, wondering, whose feet am I massaging so long? He then could see the glowing figure of Jagadhati with golden crown, with weapons, etc. in her hands. The shock was too much for Hari Prem. He fainted and prostrated down, becoming unconscious. After a while, he regained consciousness to find the same old Srima with her emaciated body and stretched out cracked feet, looking affectionately at him and softly caressing him and asked, "Hari, my child, what happened to you?" Hari Prem writes, "This is our Srima." In the Trinity of Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement, if Thakur is the body, Swamiji is voice, then Srima is the heart of it. Jathagne Dahika Shakti Ramakrishna Sitaija Sarva Vidyam Saradam Pranamami Pranamam.
That was really a wonderful speech by Dr. Banerjee. Now it's time for our next guest, that is Swami Mahanandaji. Swami Mahanandagiri was born in the family which belonged to the great Kashyapas of Vidyakut and is well known in the sphere of Indian philosophy and spirituality. This unique family tree consists of many noted scholars, yogis, sages, and religious leaders, among which Sri Shima Anandamayi is the most celebrated. In the very early age of 12, after the death of his mother, he started to be engaged with deep spiritual environment, and the unique quality of writing evolved ever since. He had his Masters of Philosophy and was very fortunate to have close relation as a student of Padma Bhushan Pandit Srijip Nayantirtha, Dr. Ramaranjan Mukhopadhyay, Dr. Bidhu Bhushan Shastri. He used to have spiritual discussions and guide from. He is fortunate to have close association of many Mahatmas in his life, such as senior monks and Brahmacharinis of Anandamayi order, Sri Ramakrishna order, and the order Swami Nigamananda Saraswati, Bela Brahmachari of Adapit, etc. And he used to be associated with Matri Chakra of Aurobindo Society. He was a renowned teacher of literature and philosophy in Rahara Ramkrishna Mission and Shodhpur High School. He used to be a well-known poet in his early life and published many books. He also published valuable papers on philosophy and religion. Among his recent publication is one of the great work Kushume Kushume Charana Chinha, based on a research work on all the associates and monks who was came to Ma Anandamoyi. In current days, he is fully immersed with his studies in Advaita Vedanta and
में क्यों
Indian
चल रही?
philosophy.
हटो, जल्दी हटो।
In conversation with Swami Mahanandagiri.
थक गया ना मैं।
Joy Ma, the organization Self Wellness and Awareness from Canada has organized this seminar on Awaken with the Eternal Motherhood. Joy Ma, Joy Ma, Joy Ma. Our prayer to Ma for all success of this noble endeavor. King Bornamato Motinto Meto. Oh Mother, Holy Mother, how can I explain your inexplicable state, Ma? The word itself is immensely significant. The Sanskrit root with verb Ma, Mati, Mato, Manti, means scale of measure in Bengali Mapo. That is mother. Because mother bestows everything according to the needs of everybody. Ma knows how much is needed or appropriate to her child. Common mother or an eternal mother, there is no difference between the two. A common mother is also the symbol of the divine mother. It is Matri Shakti that has been revealed to the individual mothers. The Shakti or the divine power has created all common mother in our nature, her own creation. The sky is one. The wind blows, we breathe in the same air, or the water is the same everywhere. Like that, all air, like that, air or sky, we cannot make any division. It is in the field of motherhood also. Mothers are plural, but mother is one and singular. If we run through many manifestations of eternal spiritual mothers of every age, we can ponder over all at least three mothers of many. In old days, Sita, Devaki, Jashoda. And in this age, here we get three mothers. Mothers of devotee bore down to Mother Sarada. Next, Mother in Pondicherry, Sri Anandamayima. And each and every one devotee gets nourished according to his or her needs and sanskaras. With no formal education, Ma Sarada's life is powerful, responsive, and echoes in the hearts of people around the world. Since her childhood, the inbuilt nature of motherhood has been manifested. After Sri Ramakrishna, she bestowed the spirit of Ramakrishna through Swami Vivekananda and his associates. She universalized Ramakrishna's doctrine of Seva Dharma all over the world. She came from a simple village family. From outward appearances, the Holy Mother Sarada was just ordinary or even less than ordinary, but she was crowned as Mother of all. The great assurance of to us, I am Mother of the wicked, I am the Mother of the virtuous. Never fear whenever you are in distress, just say to yourself, you have a mother, you have a mother, you have a mother. Next, we come to the Mother Pondicherry. A little girl full of mysticism and vision and enlightenment was born in France. With a vision, she became the mother of Pondicherry and of this world. She came with a spiritual power from West to India in association with her Krishna, that is Sri Aurobindo, to redress the sufferings of humanity. She showed us the light of wisdom through karma, jnana, and bhakti to the assembled ardent devotees. Mother said she does not represent a philosophy, a religion, or a sect. She is a force of action, creative force. Then we bow down to Ma Anandamayi. Ma Anandamayi was born in a highly spiritualized but very poor family of Vidyakota Kashyapa in Tripura. She was privileged to complete her grade 1 studies, which was very prestigious at the time. At a very young age, she got married and started living in a dedicated samsara ashram. But many mystic incidents could be seen by her kin and neighbors. Now here try to line a unique similarity. Most Adam religious leader, Jesus Christ's mother, was Virgin Mary. Gautam Buddha's father was out of home for 8 days at that time. Siddhartha's mother became pregnant, gave birth to Siddhartha. In the case of Sri Ramakrishna, his father was out of home for many days in Goa. His mother faced a similar condition when Ramakrishna was born. Now we come to the incident of Ma Anandamayi's birth. Her father was also not in the home for more than 2 years. He was roaming from village to village in singing kirtanas. During this time, her grandmother went to worship goddess Kosba Kali of Tripura. She wanted a grandson in her prayer, but unknowingly she asked for a granddaughter. At the birth of the baby, many unnatural series of incidents occurred around, and she was Manandamayi. Except in these 4 we called mystical incidents, we will remember an oft-quoted version in Sanskrit, Kartum Akartum Annata Kartum Arhati. That means Almighty can do or undo or can do otherwise. If we try to visualize some unique spheres of Mother Anandamayi, we will notice the holy fields of thousands and thousands of divine will or khayal in the world of Satchidananda Anandamayi. The reality of our life is that we cannot see our heads and facial appearances. What we see is only reflection in the mirror or in water. The reflection is not directly seen, but it is a mirror image. Similarly, oneness of a universal mother is not revealed to us. We are to be satisfied in imitation from the revelation Brahmananda Swarupa Mother. So, Bata Nivartante, the worldly language which cannot be expressed, and it is stopped here. Even mind, intellect cannot reach her. An unprecedented incident occurs in the birth time. Ordinarily, a thread of narrow flesh binds the baby and the mother in the womb. After the birth, the nadi or the thread is cut. But in the case of mother, it was not that. She had no nadi or bondage, no question of cutting the nadi. Mother said, this life is not born out of pratana or past deeds and karmas. It is self-evolved. Now we see another incident. After the birth of Jesus Christ, some wise men came from the east and paid a visit of prayer and left out. In the case of mother also, nobody did saw it. Nobody did see it. Some pious and highly religious persons and sadhus came in the moment of her birth. Her mother was not aware of that. He did not know it. After some years, when Mother Anandamayi Nirmala became 3 years or 4 years age, she told mother about the incident. Her mother tells, yes, it is true. It is fact. She knows it. He knew it from the other assistant at the time of her birth or of her birth. Daima, Jyotish Chandra Roy, known as the Vaiji, an ardent follower, visualized a divinity as mantra Vijatmika. This word cannot be translated. It means Mother is pure soul in divine sound, in divine letters, in Om. Mother is one of the root causes of the great mantras. Ma spontaneously uttered many mantras and divine sounds. It was by grace of Mother, Siroy could note approximately only 204 mantras out, many out of those. Somehow he could note the Sabda Brahma, the Mother's deep stage of unspeakable divine condition. These mantras were sent to explain the then scholars in India, but they failed to explain those utterances of Sabda Brahma. In later says Ram Thakur, a great religious leader, explained it in simple Bengali language. Mother laid many spiritual offerings, Jagga, first out worldly, she herself worshipped Mother Kali in Dhaka. During the offerings, she told everybody to keep eyes closed. Everybody did it except one. Result of this, he lost his eye vision for the time being. For a long time, our spiritual revolution was being continued. Pir Banu, a Muslim princess of Nawab family, and many other Muslim personalities assembled round her. They saw a vision of light in her navas and mantrocharan in the mother. Irrespective of caste and creed, rich or poor, educated or uneducated, thousands of people assembled round with great devotion. Everybody called her from then Manush Kali, a Kali in the form of man. Later she arranged Maha Gayatri Yajna for the well-being of the mankind. She led Adrudya Yajna with hundreds of sadhu, mantas and covered 1 crore offerings. In Kumbh Mela, all the akras of sadhus made procession to have a holy path. All the monks made one decision that they would take Anandamayi in lead. Holy Shankaracharya and Mohantos used to assemble near her. Ram Thakur, great follower of Maharishi Raman, Yogananda, Shivananda, and many other Mahatmas, instructed their followers to visit and pay respect to Mother Anandamayi. Sri Aurobindo sent Dilip Rai, an eminent personality of divine life, with the sayings of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo said, Mother Anandamayi is always in the state of Satchit Ananda, Tat Om Tat Sat. Once Dr. Tribhuvan Sen, an eminent personality of Dijan India, sat near Mother's lotus feet. He had a thought in mind. He told Mother, Ma, my mother, with the advent of Sri Ramakrishna, the world got a great flow of spirituality through Vivekananda, some monks, and especially Ma Sarada. Swami Pranavananda reformed all the pilgrimages. Dr. Sen continued, Ma, what is the significance of your holy arrival or spiritual arrival? Mother kept silent, but Dr. Sen's eagerness broke Mother's silence in unquestionable utterance. She uttered, once who has come, one has seen once, and has thought of this body once, will never have downfall, never have downfall, never have downfall. And some of the descendants of them will be messengers of Sanatana Dharma in the world, in the future world. In 1982, it came to a khayal to transform into Abhakta and depart from the worldly life. Distinguished doctors explained her in many ways, but they could find no disease. Eminent Sadhu Omkarnathji, Sankaracharya Singiri Mott immensely prayed not to live now. Many sages began to pray for a long time, but he said the body is attracted by abhakta, immense unexpressed force. The unexpressed world is evidently pulling her. While living to her body, he advised everyone to sit their own seat and keep chanting the name of God and Ma immersed with eternity. Bhavatapa pranashinnai ananda ghana murtai jnana bhakti pradainnai matastubham namo namo. Anandamayi matastam brahmani vaishnavi shiva ऋग जजु साम गायत्री त्वं हि वेद प्रकाशिका शिव शक्तिर महामाया जगदम्बा तितापहा नीलमणोमा भवानी त्वं मातर अर्घम गृहाणमे मातर अर्घम गृहाणमे मातर अर्घम गृहाणमे. Joy, Ma, in false mothers, Joy Ma, the unique one mother. Victory to the mother as showed the path, Mother Pondicherry, to the devotees. She called everybody as little brave soldiers. Victory to the mother, Joy Ma, Joy Ma, Joy Ma. Namo, 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 Janani Devi Mamo.
Such insightful and so knowledgeable speech from Swamiji. It's actually our immense pleasure that we had him with us at the age of almost 90. He managed to shoot this video and talk at a stage just for us. It was really our blessing. We are thankful to Swamiji. We are almost at the end of our program. So now all the speakers have spoken whatever they had, whatever we wanted to know from them. Now it's time to end. So now I would like to request Hemanti to introduce vote of thanks and lead us to that. Thank you. Please, Hemanti.
Thank you, Ranita. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for being with us. I know it is very late of the night in India. My gratitude and pranam to Mataji, Prabrajika Divyananda Prana. Thank you and pranam to Swami Nirgunananda ji. I'm grateful and my pranam to Swami Mahananda Giri ji. I like to thank Justice Karunanand Bajpayee ji, Govind ji, and Dr. Sudhish Chandra Banerjee for joining us and sharing their valuable speech. Thank you Manjusha Chakraborty and Deepa Bhattacharya for their performances in devotional songs. My gratitude to Dr. Jayashish Bandopadhyay and Ronita Haldar for their support, and all of you who have joined us. Thank you so much. But prior to winding it up, I like to remind you that tomorrow we have our second phase of this event. The link will remain same. Please join us from India on 8:30 p.m. and from US Canada Eastern Time Zone it will be 11 a.m. So tomorrow we will have with us Swami Nikhileshwarananda ji from Rajkot, Ramakrishna Mission, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji from Anandamayi Shangha, Dr. Sampadananda Mishra from Pondicherry, Dr. Binda Paranjape from Benares Hindu University, Mr. Ranjan Meter from the Aurobindo Society, Kolkata, and Goirik Dotto from Toronto Vedanta Society. Thank you for joining today. We are looking forward to joining again tomorrow. Thank you so much.